Hey guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. If you guys watched last week's video, I literally filmed it just moments ago. I put battery tenders on the Mustang and on the R8. In fact, so recently that I haven't even closed the hoods yet. Now, this week's video, we're not talking about that. We're gonna talk solely about the Mustang. And as you can see, it's got a hardtop on it. Boom. This has been 3 years coming. Now, if you guys remember episode 1, I think it was episode 1, maybe episode 2, I had just received this top. I had it mocked up sitting on there. It was white raw fiberglass. It hadn't been cut and finished. It hadn't been painted. It was just raw fiberglass. And quite frankly, it took me quite a while to finally corral all the parts and get it all over to my painter and then make the time to get it done. And so this was kind of a side project for him. He is a full-time body guy. And so he was fortunate, I was fortunate enough that he was able to kind of squeeze it in. But I'm gonna give you a quick tour of it and then we'll talk about the price. And that's the part that I think most people online have been asking about. I have posted pictures on a couple of vintage Mustang forums on social media. And that's really where people, I mean, everybody loves it. I'm thrilled with it. I mean, if I walk over here, you know, that's kind of a better view maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the best angle is, but it kind of looks like a fastback, does it not? So let me start with the roof itself. Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted a 67 or 68 fastback. Then in, I don't know what year it was, 98, 99, 2000, Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage came out. And the 67 GT500 Eleanor kind of re-sparked that flame in me and kind of made me want it even more. Some, you know, whatever, it's objective. Some people don't like the Eleanor body kit, others love it. I'm kind of a purist. I like Eleanor, I do, but I always like the lines of just the actual fastbacks, the Shelbys, the actual Shelbys. And fastbacks had just gotten so costly, so expensive that essentially I'd been priced out. You know, I'm a young guy in my 20s at this time. I can't quite afford one. I bought a house, going to college or finished college, starting a business, all these things, right? And then starting a family. The car was kind of always on the back burner. And as time went on, as I started to make a little more money, the cars were getting more expensive. So I wasn't catching up. So one random day I was on eBay looking at fastbacks and I came across a convertible. And this convertible had spent some time in Puerto Rico. It had been re-imported back to the United States. A gentleman in Monterey, California had owned it and planned on restoring it, but I don't know if he'd gotten ill or what happened, but something changed in his life and he had to sell the car. So I bought this car on eBay, sight unseen. It was a rusty bucket. Now, if I can find a quick photo of it, I will insert it here. But if not, go back in time. I've done a couple of videos on this car and I'm almost certain I've shown what this thing looked like when I got it. In fact, the picture that I show is from the eBay auction. It looks better in that picture than when it finally showed up to my house. So anyway, the long and short of it is this car was a rusty bucket that didn't run. It had a non-running 289 in it. It had original rotted out interior. It had just a ton of crap. The old top was deteriorating and falling in on itself. And it was just in rough shape. So it was about a 7-year restoration where I had acquired parts and accumulated parts and upgraded things along the way. And my body guy did beautiful work. He did all the Shelby conversion for me and then he painted the car. He did do some rust repair. And, you know, I mean, I needed all new trim and everything. So I spent tens of thousands of dollars on this car over a 7-year period to, you know, to make it what you see today. And so the long and short of it is now I'm trying to wrap it up. There's a few little parts, little pieces, things that I'm gonna get done so that I can really drive it and enjoy it. You know, like I said, it's kind of been a dream car of mine. And I always felt like something was missing, it being a convertible. I always, you know, I still in the back of my mind really wanted a fastback. So I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I think right about the time I started driving the car, it got running and everything, I found a company on Facebook called Removable Fastbacks. and they literally build fiberglass roofs for these cars and they sell them around the world. Now, they don't make a lot of them. The guy has a mold, he builds, I think, 5 a year. They're very hard to come by. And from what he tells me, he's only seen 2 cars with these roofs on them for sale somewhere that weren't ones that he built himself. He started doing these because he restores Mustangs. And he decided, I'm gonna turn these into fastbacks. And so he has a removable roof so that it's the best of both worlds. Now, what he told me is there's probably about 40 of this roof out there for a 67, 68. There's probably the same or a few more for the 65, 66 convertibles. He does them in both styles. So I'm gonna basically show you what it looks like done. You guys can see the exterior, but I'm gonna walk you around and we're gonna talk about it for a couple of minutes. And then really what I want you guys to do is comment down below and ask your questions. What I'd like to do is take those questions and do deeper segments. Maybe do an episode about this or that, depending on what your questions are. So first and foremost, I'm gonna tell you, as I drive the car around with this top on, it squeaks a little bit. I think the reason that I don't think, I know what the reason is. It's right here. It's the fiberglass rubbing on the aluminum. So what I'm gonna do is the same thing we did around the back. I'm gonna run this black windlace trim all the way across the windshield. And I think that's gonna solve my problem. It may not, and I won't know until I do it, but I think that's gonna solve the problem. Running it around the side here serves 2 purposes. Keeps the wind out and keeps the fiberglass from scratching the original paint. Now you're gonna notice, and maybe you can't tell this on the camera, and actually looking at the camera, looking at you right now, I see it a little bit more than I do in person, but the blue is a little bit different. And I know that's just because fresh paint up here versus like 11-year-old paint down here. So that's kind of the difference there, is just fresh paint versus maybe slightly faded and 11-year-old paint. But from a distance and in person, I don't think you can tell. I think the camera lighting picks up on it a little bit better. But it uses all factory parts. So if you look at this back glass, it's real glass out of a Mustang Fastback, right? That's exact replacement glass. This trim, legit window trim. It's got a slightly modified but original repro, but window gasket under there, right? So, I mean, this is all real parts. The scoops, real scoops, now they're non-functional, but they're real scoops. You'd put these on anything. Fastbacks had kind of a vented thing here. These would just cover that or replace that. Now, these are non-functioning, so what you're gonna see here is that this is just painted black, and there are some holes drilled in there to allow a little bit of airflow in. That doesn't really do anything, but what it was designed to do is kind of match the mesh down here. Now, I don't know, I may try to cut a strip of mesh and just glue it on there. I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but I might. So that's that. But these are all molded on, and the body guy did a fabulous job. He molded those, they were bolt on, but he didn't want them to wobble or rattle or any of that stuff. So those are molded on. Now, if you open the door and get inside, hang tight here. Oh, you can hear the squeak. But you're gonna see the roof is painted, okay? And this is how it attaches to the front. So there's this stainless steel piece of metal. It's actually been painted, it looks like. That kind of rests on the windshield top trim. And then this screw right here, that Phillips screw, goes into that metal bar that is the support on the front. And you can kind of see it through here. But that runs the length of the ceiling, and then there's the same one on the other side. So it's attached at 2 points in the front. And then in the back, as you can see, there's a notch kind of like right about here. That had to be cut because not all these cars have roll bars. The guy who builds these roofs built it probably on a car that didn't have a roll bar. So that piece was actually solid all the way down to the mounting point here. And so my guy notched it. and painted the inside of that notch so it looks like it should, and that's that way on both sides. Can't see it over there because of the chair, but pretty straightforward. Now, if you look right next to, I'm gonna point to it right there, right next to the headrest, there you're gonna see a metal rod that goes kind of up through the fiberglass fastback with a wing nut on top. I'm gonna get out and show you, kind of right there, that wing nut, and there's one on the other side too. Those are what hold the back part of the roof down. So there's 4 mounting points to hold this roof on. And again, with the wind lace, it's pretty weatherproof and weather tight. I do have a couple of gaps. And so I need to figure that out, because the last thing I want to do is when I'm driving down the road, I don't want to hear wind. I don't want to feel a breeze. If I did, I'd just take the top off and be in my convertible. And so let me show you those gaps. And then maybe again, you guys can comment down below and let me know your thoughts. But they're really right here. So if I come down eye level, what do you know? You guys can kind of see right inside the car. And it's the same on the other side. So those are the 2 gaps that are my biggest concern. If I come around the edge, there's a little gap right here. You can see that's the stainless roof trim when the top is up, when the soft top is up. So you can kind of see a little bit of that right in there. And on the other side you can as well. And then the rest of the roof is pretty seamless. I mean, it's pretty gapless, I don't know, but it fits really nice. So I've got to figure out a way to kind of fill this void, because yeah, I don't want to hear wind. I don't want to see sky. You know, when the roof is on, I want the roof to be on. So I don't know, what are your guys' thoughts there? But beyond that, you know, I think one thing I'm gonna do, now you can't really, I wonder if you can see it. Okay, so you see the rod that pokes up behind the seat. Now the problem is that rod, really for someone to sit in the back seat, that rod needs to be removed because it's keeping the backrest from clicking in. So the seat right here is really just mocked up. It's not actually attached to anything. So I think what I'm gonna do is when the fastback roof is on, I think I'm gonna remove the back seat. And what I'm gonna do, and this is twofold, because with the roof on, you have no access to the trunk, right? I mean, how would you open the trunk? You can't. So my issue with that is my spare tire. My spare tire's in the trunk. So if I get a flat, now I have to pull over. I have to have someone help me remove the top because it's too heavy to move by myself and it's gonna scratch the crap out of my car. I have to have a passenger with me. I have to be able to remove the top to get to my spare. So my thinking is a real fastback had a fold down back seat. I'm thinking of not doing a fold down back seat, but a back seat delete, where maybe I can use like speaker box carpet or interior carpet to some extent and build a rear seat delete that will hold my spare tire. So in theory, you know, maybe my spare tire stands up kind of where the backrest is, bolted to some sort of, like I said, carpet lined plywood, and do like a rear seat delete. I think that would look awesome. And then when you look through the back window here, you know, you're gonna see a spare tire, which again, I think is awesome. So I think that's kind of my plan. I'm not really sure yet. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. What do you think I should do? I don't want to drill more holes. In a perfect world, thinking out loud, right? In a perfect world, those rods are back on the other side of where the back seat mounts. But right now, that's not the way it works. So I could probably come up with a way to do it, but that would require me drilling 2 more holes down there, which I don't really want to do. So I'm exploring options. I'm looking for ideas. I'd love your feedback. Let me know what you think. But the roof itself, you know, I guess that's the main point. I love it. It's definitely, it's awesome. It's gonna get better. I think the more I can work the kinks out of it, I can seal the gaps. Maybe I get that back seat delete. I weather strip the front, you know, do all the things to make it the way I want it. The cost. So when I bought this roof 3 years ago, It was, I think, $2,700. And then shipping was like another $500. So it's like $3,200, okay? Then I had to buy glass, I had to buy weather stripping, I had to buy trim, I had to buy the side deals, I had to buy the chrome around the windows, I had to buy the windlace, I had to buy, the mounting bracket up front, all those things, I had to buy all those things. And then my body guy taking the time to paint, color match, do the stripes, make it look as perfect as it does, all came out to about $6,500. So the breakdown of that, and you might be able to do it less, I don't know. But again, I think the top was about $3,200 shipped to my door. The paint and body work was about $2,700. And then the glass and all the trim and the parts and all those things was another $500 or $600, close. So I'm rounding, but roughly $6,500, maybe a little less. If you guys can do your own paint and body work, then you're gonna save a bunch of money. But the truth is, the roof came really raw. If you were to rewatch episode 1, you're gonna see that like where this trim is mounted, it's super jagged. It sticks way out, it's super jagged. It looks like it just popped off the mold. So he had to take some time to, kind of fit this out, cut it down, sand it smooth, and then he epoxied the trim on there to cover the rough edges. And that's how it works. I mean, don't get me wrong, he didn't do anything, he didn't short it or anything, but those are the kind of things that, I didn't really think about. When I ordered the top, I just sort of assumed he'd paint it, pop it on, I just pay for paint and labor. He had to do a lot of fitment and kind of modifying. Again, he molded these on, you don't have to do that. He notched around the roll bar. You don't have to do that if you don't have a roll bar. So again, I think my circumstance is a little bit different than the average fastback top, but it's exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I needed. And now, I literally have the car of my childhood dreams, which is phenomenal. And then bonus, my adult dream car right next to it. So that's pretty sweet. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Let me know what you think of this top. Let me know what you'd do different. Let me know if you have a fix for the gaps, any of the air stuff, whatever. Comment down below. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. More to come on this car. Very excited about it. So thank you guys for watching. Most importantly, remember, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.